These are my audience members, Kirsten, Riley, and Kayla. As stated in 2017 by Funk and Wagnall's New World Encyclopedia, in the U.S., the disease diabetes has affected 20.8 million people in 2005, of whom 6.2 million people are undiagnosed. Diabetes is a disease where there is little to no production of insulin in the body. There are different types, symptoms, and treatments for diabetes. Type 1 and type 2 are very different, yet similar. Symptoms for the both vary wildly, and treatment depends on the patient. Diabetes comes in two different types, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is hereditary and is when almost all or no production of insulin is being produced in the body. According to the MNT editorial team in 2017, in an article named Diabetes, Symptoms, Causes, and Treatments, approximately 10% of all diabetes patients are type 1. Personally, I know two people with diabetes type 1, my dad and my brother. My dad has lived with it for about 25 years, and my brother has lived with it for about 18. They both go through their own struggles and their own different treatments, like I said, because it depends on the patient for the treatments. They have their own causes and symptoms for the both. My dad showed up after college when he was done playing sports, when he was about 22, and my brother's had it since he was 5. And his showed up because his symptoms varied, and my dad tested him because he had assumptions, and we found out he had type 1 diabetes. Type 2 is mainly seen in obese patients. As stated by LIY, LIH, and YAO-H in the article, Analysis and Study of Diabetes Follow-up Data Using a Data Mining-Based Approach in the New Urban Area of Urim, China, in 2018, the survey found that the prevalence of diabetes in people with a BMI of over 24 was 10.58%. The prevalence of diabetes in people with a BMI of less than 24 was 4%. This means that people who are typically more obese have type 2 diabetes. There still is a small chance that people who are not as obese may get type 2 diabetes, but typically it is in obese patients. Both types are very similar, but different in many ways. There are different ways to detect if your body is not producing enough insulin. Some physical symptoms may be highs and lows that can change a person's behavior and the way that they act. I have seen my dad be high and I have seen him low, with corrections of course being made, but I have seen him act completely down in the dumps, and I have seen him be hyper like a monkey. It all depends on the person and how they act, but when he is low, he is very hyper and acts childish. But with my brother, when he is low, he sometimes has more struggles than my dad and is often hospitalized because of them. Each case is determined by patient to patient and varies extremely. Some ways to detect if you are diabetic are thirst, frequent urination, and weight loss. My brother's was detected from his urination and his thirst. He was tested by my dad and realized that he did have diabetes, but there's also ways to detect other people who have diabetes. Because of your diabetes, you have a higher risk of dangers. Some dangers may be kidney disease, reduction of blood flow, loss of eyesight, an increased heart attack rate, and stroke. For type 1 patients, diabetes is inevitable, and there's no way to prevent it. For type 2, there are ways to treat the disease. For both, there are multiple ways to treat the patient so they can live with it. Type 2 treatments can be exercise, diet control, and diet maintenance, with weight reduction, of course. Both types are there ways to be treated, which include insulin pens, insulin pumps, and needles. If you're high, you can correct it by adding more insulin into your body. So like before you were to go eat a meal, you would add insulin into your body. You would type in the carb amount into your pump, and that would automatically insert the insulin into your body. The same goes for insulin pens and needles, but those would just have to be injected. With these treatments, there are ways for other patients without the disease to even know if you have it. Diabetes has two different types. Type 1 and type 2, like I discussed before, which can be completely different but have similar aspects. There are many different symptoms that are typically causes for diabetes or dangers, like I said, like strokes. There are different types, treatments, and types to help with the reduction of insulin, with the production of insulin in the body. Diabetes is a disease spread worldwide while people all around you are diagnosed. Some you may not even know. Some could be like my dad or my brother. Many people don't know until I tell them. My audience members again, Kayla, Riley, and Kirsten.